All right, we're ready to go. Hello. Welcome, everybody. My name is Ashley Walmer, and this is Mike. And we do this every single week. If you are on Team Ignite, welcome to the team. We are so excited to meet you guys. This team is exploding, you guys. Like, every single day, there are new people that are this movement, and it is so exciting to see everybody's name get added to the team page. Welcome. This is a place every single week that we get together. We go over tips and training, what you need to know to move your business forward. So make sure you always set those reminder texts. And if you are new to Zoom, if you guys just go ahead and mute, that way there's no background noise. If a husband or a kid is talking to you, don't feel like somebody else is hearing your conversation. So just go ahead and hit mute. That's kind of some just rules of Zoom. And we're going to get started. So if you missed the legacy call last night, the recording is up. You're going to want to watch that, you guys. We have joined a company that is just getting started, which is super exciting. It's one of the reasons why I am like ecstatic every single day about this business specifically, you guys, in this industry, is the fact that we're pioneering this. We are starting at the very beginning. We are literally moving this company forward, right? And so Matthew talked a little bit about the different phases that happen in network marketing. So if you did not see that, you want to make sure you watch that call. And also, if you haven't gotten your ticket for Emrys Live, they did. Okay, early bird's over. You missed the early bird pricing, but good news. They didn't go all the way up to the 300 price point. It's 204 right now. So if you missed that early bird price, you can still get your conference ticket at a super discounted price. So make sure that you guys go ahead and hop over and get your conference ticket at emryslive.com. If you want to get on that yacht experience, if you've got your 5 customers and you've got your plan to go 1-star executive this week, you need to do one more thing, and that's go ahead and purchase your conference ticket. And we are super excited to see you guys there. And then one more thing, just an announcement before we kind of start rolling into this Zoom, is this week, you guys, every single day starting tomorrow at 2 p.m., 6 p.m., and 9 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're in a different time zone, figure out what your time zone is. Corporate is going to be doing a Zoom blitz. So opportunity Zooms, a place for you to add prospects, invite prospects to take a look at what we have our hands on, to take a look at Emrys. So Matthew, Eileen, Aspen are going to be presenting 3 different times a day. Okay. So what we're going to talk about tonight, I want you guys just in the back of your mind, as Matthew is going through this, thinking about all of the people that you can be inviting this whole next week to explode your business. The things he's going to talk to you guys tonight and the tools that are in place, if you marry them together, you guys, oh my goodness, like this week is going to be incredible for you. I know we've got lots of people breaking ranks this week, going executive, going 1-star executive. If you guys can marry these 2-star executives, like all the way, 3-star executive, director, like it's happening this week. If you guys take action on the tools and the resources that we're going to talk through tonight. So last week, Matthew and Eileen actually came to Michigan. Did you want to say something? Sorry, no. Am I just totally talking?
You're on a roll. Just go with it.
Okay, so last week, Matthew and Eileen were here in Michigan, and we had 2 back-to-back events. And the second event on Tuesday night, after the event, Matthew did some training. And it was a huge aha moment for me, you guys. I've always built belly to belly, and what that means is face-to-face, like sitting down, meeting with people, saying, hey, let's go grab coffee. I want you to take a look at what I'm doing. I've also built on social media. With that just being posting and letting the world see and take a look at my journey and following along. But I am here to tell you that when you build face-to-face, meeting with people, picking up the phone, calling them, it builds so much faster, okay? And so when I was listening to Matthew talk, it hit me because I was like, that's how we built our previous business when we got to 6 figures. every single thing that he's talking about right now, I've just never heard it explained that way. It's kind of what we just instinctively did, is that's how we built. We built to events, and that's how I've always heard it explained, is you want to always be inviting to the next event. Have you guys heard that before? Always be inviting to the next event, always have an event to be inviting people to, but I've never heard it explained this way. Okay, so I hope you have your pen and paper ready, because seriously, Matthew's going to light your paper on fire if you guys are going to take like 7 pages of notes. I'm so excited. All right, so let me go and find him. All right, there he is. Perfect. Okay, so you guys, we have co-founder, Chief Visionary Officer Matthew Harris in the house with us tonight to share some wisdom about inviting and recruiting and how to do it the right way. Matthew, are you there?
To be here. I'm listening to, I'm watching this chat, I'm watching the energy, and it was just, Mike and Ashley were just so incredible to see you guys last week. It was like a blur, like it was like an absolute blur. We just actually, well, you know what's so interesting is that just before I got on this webinar, I was on another call because we have so many leaders coming on board with Emirates right now. That was actually a recruiting call. And I'm just excited about what's getting ready to happen here, guys. We have some, this thing is definitely taking off, and you guys are part of that. And so I just wanted to affirm, you know, Ash and Mike, you guys are incredible leaders. Thank you for putting this call together. I listened to your voice note, Ashley, and I think I misheard you when you said I got 30 minutes, because I'm gonna need, because this, I really want to do an actual recruiting boot camp with you guys. If I could do that with you guys, I think it would be, there are certain principles in this business that are just so critical that if I just give you one of them, it would make a difference. But if I actually walked you through the process of really becoming an outlier in this business, and an outlier, if you do any reading, and if you don't, I highly recommend you get the book, The Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. And he talks about this concept of people that achieve astronomical success. So if you guys watched, this Sunday was an interesting day because there was Roger Federer, who I believe just lost. I didn't actually watch the match, but I believe he lost. And to just it was one of the longest, if not the longest games in history in the sport of tennis. At the same time, the reason I missed that match was because I was watching England and who are they playing? New Zealand in cricket. So being a South African, we drink tea and we play cricket, right? This is part of what we do, right? So don't judge me, guys. If you love baseball, understand that I'm a cricketer at heart. I grew up playing baseball as well. But what's interesting about the guys and the gals that perform at the highest level is they perform the basics at a high level, the basics. And so I want to talk to you guys about the basics tonight. And some of these things might be some concepts you've heard. But hopefully tonight, the way that I share them puts you in a place where you take action on them. And I'm pretty sure some of the things I'm going to be sharing with you are things that you have not heard. And so either way, if I go past the 30 minutes, just because I want to give you so much content because I want this so badly for you guys. And when you get to a place of mastering some of these principles, recruiting becomes an easy thing. It's just what you do. But getting there takes some practice. And so if you're taking notes, great for you. If you're not taking notes, then the training has already begun. So you want to definitely be taking notes here, guys. What I have found is that amateurs treat this business casually. And so if you want to become an outlier or the top 3% in any space, there's certain principles that you have to practice over and over and over and over and over and over again. But some people think that practice makes perfect. I'm going to tell you right now, I need to absolutely shatter that paradigm for you, that practice makes permanent. If you're writing in your notes, practice makes permanent. I'm going to say this again. Practice makes permanent. And so you could be practicing the wrong things, thinking that you're working really, really hard and wondering why you're not getting any closer to your goals. Watching other people win and wondering why hasn't it happened yet for you. And so recruiting, building your organization with Emirates, this is the gateway skill to leadership. Everyone wants to be that leader, wants to be that influencer, wants to have people that are just flocking and making a big income and a big impact. but you can only lead if you've actually got someone who's paying attention to what you're doing. Does this make sense? And so recruiting is the gateway skill. This is where most people struggle. And so I want to give you the tools to break through. So there's 11 things I have to cover in 30 minutes. This is literally going to be me doing the best I can to shrink.
You got as much time as you want. I'm just saying,
I'll do what I can.
Come up with 30 minutes.
I'll do what I can. So this is me trying to shrink over $100,000 that I've invested into my business education. I can't tell you how many seminars. I cannot tell you how many courses. I cannot tell you how many mentors. I had to go through my learning curve because I just wanted to figure this thing out. And so there's 11 steps to that I want to talk about tonight that I discovered that helped me really transform my business, all right? They're very simple concepts. And so becoming an outlier in network marketing, becoming an outlier, a top producer in this business comes down to practicing some principles, all right? So what I just talked about a moment ago was these guys playing tennis, for example. And I took tennis lessons as a kid, and there's certain things that they would teach you, certain types of strokes. It's just, you do the same things over and over again. And what I've seen so many people do, this isn't the first item that I want to talk to you about as this mini boot camp on recruiting, is that I see many people getting caught up thinking that this is what they should do. And this is what they get caught up on. They think that they need to spend most of their time planning and preparing versus actually showing the plan. I'm going to say this again. They spend most of their time planning and preparing versus showing the plan. So I want to talk to you guys about income producing activities, but if you're taking notes, there's 11 things you want to be really bulleting down here. And the first one is plan and prepare versus show the plan. Okay, so what does that mean? So when someone gets into this business, a lot of times we want to get creative. This was me. I was the most creative person in network marketing, which is why I was the most biggest disaster in this space, because I kept trying to create all these different ways to make a perfect wheel. Okay, well, if they said make a list, all right, I'm going to color code my list. I'm going to reorganize my names. I'm going to come up with all these different extra tools and all these other different things, and I was distracting myself from income producing activities. So income producing activities, this is what you want to be focusing on in your business. If you're not sure, if you're looking at your paycheck right now and you want it to go up, this is the litmus test. Look at your calendar. Look at your calendar. How much time did you spend personally talking to a brand new person about your Emirates business this week? When was the last time you did a presentation for someone? When was the last time you did a presentation for your team? These are what's called income producing activities. And in this business, here's what I have found is that a lot of people will major in minor things, where they spend most of their time planning and preparing because it's fun, it's creative. And here's the thing about showing the plan is it can become pretty mundane. Making phone calls, talking to people, following up with people. That's the part of the business where the rubber meets the road. And so if you're not doing, or if you're not seeing the results that you want to see just yet, go to your calendar. How much time in your business, if you have 20 hours a week, you're a busy mom, you're a busy professional, whatever your career is outside of Emirates. And if you're full-time, I believe this is actually harder to do on a full-time basis than it is to do on a part-time basis. Because as a full-time leader, what happens is you end up having a lot of time. But when you're part-time, you don't have as much time. So you've got to get the results. You've got to focus in on what's really going to make the biggest difference. I'll tell you right now, income-producing activities. So what is income producing activities? It's showing the plan. You're going to hear me talking about showing the plan, showing the plan, showing the plan. That is doing presentations or introducing and exposing people to this opportunity. Is this making sense? If it is, you can throw 7 in the chat. I want to make sure that I'm coming across to you guys about this, because these are the foundations of what you're going to want to be doing.
Matthew, I'm going to just go ahead and hit mute, and then you can unmute real quick.
Okay. All right, so here we go. So plan and prepare versus show the plan. Most people that are in the 97% of network marketers that never become outliers spend the majority of their time planning and preparing versus actually showing the plan, all right? So you start to focus on income producing activities. You start looking at your calendar and being very, very intentional about where you're spending your time. Your paycheck is a direct reflection of your calendar. So if your calendar is full of management, if you're in the mode of that many people get trapped in, which is called the management trap, and this is definitely not where you want to be. You want to see an explosion in your business, you need to get into what's called phase one. Phase one is where you are focusing on new people, new stories, new people coming into your business, new customers every single day. You're focusing on new. All right, so that's number one. Number two is recognizing that building this business is a numbers game. So this is the second item I want you to be writing down, a numbers game. Now, there's, I had a friend of mine who came over to my place, and he was trying to teach me how to play poker, Ashley. And like, I didn't realize how complex poker actually is. Like, it's legit. Like, my brain was getting numb trying to remember all the different cards, and I kept losing, and I'm super competitive. I do not like losing. So I just basically came to the point where I decided to go study before the next time that he came over, right? And one of the interesting things I found out is that, if I can remember this correctly, let's see, is that you have a deck of 52 cards, and there's something interesting you'll find in every deck of cards, is that there'll be 4 aces. 4 aces in a deck of 52 cards. All right. Now, if I'm getting the numbers wrong, you can correct me in the chat, but I want you to get the principle. All right. So what's interesting about cards is that when you look at a card, it is what it is. If it's a ace of diamonds, if it's a king, of what, all those different types of cards, they are what they are. The same thing is true when it comes to recruiting. With your list of contacts, with the people that you're talking to, all right? What I found myself doing early on that really slowed my success down was that I was going through my cards. I was flipping my cards, and then I was looking for aces. So remember, there's 4 in a deck of 52 cards. I was looking for aces, and I kept flipping the cards. I kept talking to someone on my list, following up with this person. And when they weren't an ace, I spent all this energy trying to transform them into being an ace, trying to transform them from being someone who's not interested into being someone who is. So remember, this is a numbers game, and the beautiful thing about it is that whoever exposes this business to the most amount of people the right way, and I'm talking to you guys about the right way to do this tonight, will grow the largest business, because you will find those aces. It's to put it in another perspective. Growing up in South Africa, we used to go to the ocean, and I would see people with these oysters. And I don't know if you guys know where pearls come from, but pearls come from oysters. It's actually whenever a sand falls into that oyster, and it actually starts to irritate the membrane. And what will happen is that oyster is trying to actually protect itself from the sand or that piece of particle, and it actually creates and builds something beautiful, like you'll see with those actual pearls. All right. Now, what's interesting is when you're looking for pearls, you're always opening up oysters looking for pearls. Now, let's say that you and I go looking for pearls. Like, this is our business. We're looking for pearls. We're going to go to the ocean. We're going to go open up these oysters. So if we open up an oyster and it doesn't have a pearl, would we sit there and yell at the oyster, "What's wrong with you? Don't you know we can pay $75,000 a week? Oh my goodness, CBD is going to be the next biggest thing. Don't you get it?" We wouldn't do that. We would just throw that oyster away, go to the next one. We would keep sorting through, because we recognize that this is a numbers game. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you about that deck of cards. There's something called jokers that you're going to run across. You guys might have already found some jokers in your list. Some people that may not have necessarily seen the vision like you've seen it. Maybe they're saying, "Oh, you're trying one of those things again. Oh, no, the last one didn't work out," or whatever the case may be. You're going to run into some jokers along the way. That's part of the process. But I don't want you to sit back and try to think that the only person who's experiencing rejection or having some people say no to you is you. I used to think that I would die if someone said no to me about my business. So I never picked up the phone. I was so terrified of making phone calls. The fear of people judging me, the fear of what they would say, the fear actually kept me from my breakthrough, until it came to the point where rock bottom became the foundation on which I rebuilt my life. I don't need you to go to rock bottom for you to get past the fear. I want you to start to recognize the fact that some people will, some people won't. So what? Next. Just keep it moving. If you spend the time trying to convince someone that they need to get started in Emrys, then you're actually focusing on the wrong kind of activity. Is this helping anyone tonight? I hope that I'm putting you in a place now where you're recognizing that your experience, if you've talked to 1 or 100, is normalizing that experience, is because you're going to have to go through some rejection. You're going to have some moments where some people are going to say certain things. So you're going to have some people that you thought were going to be major leaders in your company or in your business, or going to show up to your presentation and they didn't show up. All right. But it's part of the process. It's part of the process. There's a parable about the sower and the seed. And some seed landed on fertile soil, and some seed landed amongst the weeds. Sometimes the weeds are going to get some of your prospects. Sometimes the birds are going to come in and get the those seeds, as Jim Rohn talks about it. They'll go home from a presentation, they'll talk to a friend, and they'll say, "What are you doing?" Thinking about you can become successful in that Emirates thing. Sometimes it happens. When that happens, just say, like Jim Rohn said, "Isn't that interesting?" The birds got to that person who didn't call you back. Don't sit there and just kind of, "Oh my goodness, this business doesn't work." Don't sit there trying to turn the joker into the ace. Just keep flipping the cards. Just keep sowing the seeds. Just keep opening those oysters, and you will find those rock stars. And sometimes they won't come. By the way, the rock star that comes into your business isn't going to come into your business with a sign on them saying, "I'm a rock star. I'm going to come crush this business." Guys, some of the people that you think are going to be the biggest leaders in your business will sign up and will disappear. All right? So that could happen to you. So I don't want you to fall in love with people's potential. I want you to fall in love with their work ethic. I want you to fall in love with their desire. Here's what you're looking for. If you're trying to figure out, what am I looking for when I'm talking to people? What am I looking for? I'm looking for a rock star. This is what you're looking for. You're looking for desire. Desire. In the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill talks about this, that the birthplace of success is massive desire. I'm paraphrasing him. But if someone doesn't have desire, they're not going to win in this business. They're not going to win in anything because they just don't have the desire for it. And that is okay. But some of us think that by our energy that we can motivate desire into other people. Some people have to go through life to let life create that desire inside of them, and that's okay. And so remember, you're going through the numbers. I would much prefer, I remember coaching someone years ago, and they're telling me, "Man, I can't find the people that have the money." All right. I don't know how many of you guys have run across that. I'm going to talk about objections in a second. I just can't seem to find people that have the money to get started. Back then it was like $1,000 to join that business. And I told them this, and I'm going to share this with you guys tonight, is that you're not looking for people that have the money to get started. You're looking for people that have desire to change their life. If you're looking for people that have the money to get started, you're looking for the wrong people. Because desire will find the money. That's why I say dream, then find a way. Desire will figure out how to get to a presentation even if they don't have a car. Desire will figure out how to make Zoom work even if they're not necessarily a techie person, right? Desire will figure out how to use the e-suite even though this may be the first time at network marketing. Desire always finds a way. Money doesn't necessarily mean they've got desire. So that doesn't mean that if you've got money, you don't have desire. Hey, I'm just telling you, the first ingredient that you're looking for is desire. All right, so quick recap. We talked about plan and prepare versus show the plan. Income producing activities. We talked about it's a numbers game. Now, the third principle here is to understand that recruiting is a process, not an event. How many of you guys just that was a big light bulb for you guys? Recruiting is a process, not an event. Here's what's interesting about most people. Here's what's interesting about most people. Most people don't wake up in the morning saying, "I want to join a network marketing business today." Well, unless there's some people that are like that, but the majority, like 99.999%, are not thinking that way. All right. And so here's what you're going to find. Is that when most people make a buying decision, write this in your notes, it takes them 3 to 7 times to be exposed to some information about that product, that service, or that opportunity before they actually get started. 3 to 7 times, an exposure process. And so recruiting, again, is a process, not an event. So if you guys are thinking, "Wow, I got to have Matthew Harris doing an event in Michigan in order for me to grow my business," you're going to be waiting until the next time I come to Michigan in order for your business to grow. You're basing your future and your success on whether I show up for you. or you're basing it on whether Ashley is available to do the presentation for you at that specific event. Why does this matter? Because it's about exposing people to the information about Emrys and realizing that maybe one event is not going to get them to say yes right away. Now, some people will see the presentation one time and sign up on the spot. When I was there with Ashley and Mike, some people signed up on the spot right away. Some people had to go home and look at the website. Some people had to get on a three-way call after that. Some people had to go to the next step in the exposure process to actually then make their decision. And so if you're looking for an event to actually catapult your business alone, remember there is a part to this business called follow-up, and I'm going to get to that in a second. So recruiting is a process. So when you talk to someone, let me see if I can switch over here real quickly. All right, let me take a look. I'm just looking at the chat real quick. I see some people asking about open to suggestions, how to talk to people that I've run out of people to talk to. I'm going to cover that, so just stay right here. Just don't go anywhere. Don't go to any other channel, all right? So I want you guys to take a look at this. So imagine that this is a staircase, all right? And can you guys see my screen? Okay, perfect. And so this is your prospect right here, all right? And so this little stick person, we want them to take some steps. So we want them to actually get started with you and be over here like the movie Rocky with their hands up in the air, you know, all excited because they became a founding partner. All right, so this is where we want to get them to, but this is where they are. And so recognize, just like you have step one, step two, how many steps are you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 different steps. Okay, so let's say the first contact you have with this person is they go to your website. So I'm just going to put web here. All right, so you just recognize with the people on your list that if they don't say yes right away, it's not the end of the world, all right? You're going to move them to the next exposure. So maybe they go to your website and they watch the video presentation, or maybe they hop on a Zoom presentation or whatever, but I'm going to use one at a time. So they go to your website, they take a look at the website, you follow up with them and they say, man, this sounds awesome. I've got some questions. Awesome. This week, you're actually going to get a chance to hear from the Chief Visionary Officer himself. He's doing 3 Zoom presentations a day. Which one can you be on tomorrow? You send them and have them get on that Zoom presentation. All right? So this is the next step. So I'm going to come back and point something out here. I want to see if you guys are noticing that there's something happening here other than them moving from one process to the next. They get on the Zoom presentation. They see the information, and now they may want to move to the next step. Maybe they have some more questions, but they're getting closer to the goal. And so now you might want to get them on a 3-way call. All right? So now they've seen the Zoom presentation. Maybe they still have some more questions. They're getting excited about what they see. You move them to a 3-way call. All right? Now, after this 3-way call, they may have not signed up just yet. Your goal is to move them to the next exposure. So I know in Michigan, for where you guys are tuning in from and across the country, there's a lot of different events that are happening. Maybe it's happening in someone's home. Maybe it's happening at a hotel event. Maybe it's happening at, just at a Panera Bread. I don't know where the events. It can be anywhere. All right. I've done presentations in people's backyards, like literally with a pool and everything. I've done it anywhere. I've done it in the dark. It doesn't matter. It's a presentation. But now there's a group presentation. So let me put this GRP just for group. All right. So that's just the acronym I'm going to use for now. So they move to that. All right. And then they decide, oh my goodness, I have to get started. And they then join. All right. Now notice something. If they had gone to the website and you didn't follow up with them and you didn't move them to the Zoom presentation, to the 3-way, to the group presentation, they wouldn't have joined your business. But most people quit right here. I'm going to draw the line. They talk to people, they send them to their website, and they don't recognize that recruiting is actually a process, not an event. And so they don't know what to do with that person next. And so here's what I want you to be paying close attention to. As people are moving through this process, what you'll notice is that this process is actually providing more and more validation. Because let's say they hop on that Zoom presentation and they see people tuning in from Nebraska. They see people turning in from Johannesburg, South Africa. They see people turning in from Michigan. They see people turning in from Florida. All these people in the chat. And they're like, oh, this is bigger than just one person's website. All right? You see how it's getting bigger and bigger? It's getting more and more impact. So here's what's happening. As they're moving up this ladder, there's higher and higher what we call impact. All right? What people are really wanting to know is, write this down. Please write this down. People want to know, is it real? Does it work? And can I do it? These are 3 questions you need to be answering the entire time when you're actually out there building your business. If someone doesn't believe it's real, it doesn't matter if it works in their mind. If they don't believe it's real, it's not real. So that's the first thing. They have to believe that it's real. Second thing is, does it work? Are other people winning in this? And so that's why moving people through this process, they're seeing other people. Have you guys ever been on the highway? This happens to me in big cities, and Tampa, it happens a little bit too once we moved here. But it used to happen, well, I don't drive a whole lot, but when I do, it's always crazy to me that people drive and get stuck in traffic every single day and think that's normal. Like I cannot stand traffic, but I'm pretty sure whether you drive once or twice a day, if you drive at all, this has happened to you. You're driving down the highway and everyone's cars is stopped, right? And you're like, what's happening? Why is everyone sitting here? Is there an accident? And you get closer and closer and closer and you see the accident, you see what's happening, and you notice everyone is looking at the accident, right? Everyone has slowed down to pay attention to the accident. It's got their attention, and because other people are paying attention, more and more people stop to look. I'm going to give you another example, and I'm going to bring this home to why this is so important. We're going to move to the next step. When I was in high school, I went on this tour that I actually I almost got expelled. That's a story from another time, but I was on this tour. And we were in Canada, and we had gone to some baseball game as a tour group. As the game is finished, we walked outside and we decided to play a prank. And some of my friends and I were looking up at the top of this hotel, and we acted like there was some guy up there. Which, looking back, this is what high school kids would do, but it was totally immature. But we're like, don't do it, don't jump. We're like shouting at some imaginary guy that wasn't there. Can I tell you that a whole crowd of people stopped to look up at the sky and to yell at somebody who wasn't there? Because something happens when a group of people come together and go one direction. It catches people's attention. It drives the impact. And that's what's happening as you're moving people from one exposure to the next, to the next, to the next, is that you want it to have higher and higher impact, more validation. They see other people's stories. They connect with someone else who's getting results. And the power of the crowd gets them to the point where they're like, I can't miss out on this. Look at all these people already moving this direction. And so you want to go from one person seeing the presentation to having higher and higher impact through your exposure process. All right, let me go back to the chat. Is this making sense to you guys? I'm trying to go quickly because there's so much I want to share with you guys, but I want to make sure that you guys are really catching this. All right. All right, perfect. So you're moving them from event to event, from exposure to exposure to exposure to exposure to exposure to exposure to exposure. All right. So just understand that if you talk to someone today and they don't get started, that's all right. Move them to the next one. All right. So number 4, do you guys know that commercial Dos Equis, the most interesting man in the world? All right. If you drink it, you don't have to put the number 7 tonight, but that's okay. If you're feeling moved by the Spirit, you can do that. But what I want to ask you guys is, how many of you guys think that you have to be the most interesting person in the room in order for people to join your business? This is an interesting thing to talk about, because a lot of people will teach a concept called attraction marketing. I'm one of those people that got really a huge following years ago in the space by talking about attraction marketing. And I love the concept, but there's a misperception that I want to talk with you guys about. Because when we're talking to people, when we're attracting people to us, most people think that people are going to join the most interesting person. All right. There's some truth to that, but I'm going to tell you the real truth. People are going to join the most interested person. I'm going to say this again. People are going to join the most interested person. All right. So let me explain what I mean. That there's a radio station. It's not a real radio station, but it has a real impact in people's lives, called WIIFM. What's in it for me, FM? All right. That's all that people are tuned into. They want to know. They don't care how much money you made last week, how much money you didn't make last week, who you're connected to, who you're not connected to. They're not necessarily interested in you as much as they're interested in themselves. Try this tomorrow. If you go to a restaurant and you got a waiter that comes up to you and call them by their first name, you'll see their name tag and you start talking to them by their first name. I guarantee you the quality of your service is going to go right through the roof, because people are attracted to people that are interested in them. So you don't actually have to be the most interesting person in the world to build a large organization. You have to be the most interested person. So when you're talking to people, I want you to be like a detective. You need to be looking for clues, finding out the person's hot buttons, finding out what they're interested in. We call this building rapport. And so there's an acronym that we use that actually makes this easier to remember. All right, I don't know what you guys can see or can't see on my screen. Let me go back to trying to share my whiteboard again and see if you guys can see this. All right, you should be able to see my whiteboard. All right. So there's an acronym I want you guys, if you're ever wondering, what should I say to people? What do I talk to people? If you're ever at a social function or whatever the case may be, wherever you are, I want you to remember this acronym. It's called FORM. All right, this is what you talk to people about. Family is the first thing. All right, doesn't matter what order. I'm just going to put that to you here, right here. Occupation. All right, recreation. And I'll explain what this is in a second. And then motivation or money. Motivation, money. All right. And so as you're talking to people and you're not sure, how do I talk to someone about my business? It's a brand new person, you don't know them very well. Ask them, hey, is your family from this area? Do you have family around here? Do you have any brothers? Do you have any sisters? Start simple conversations called building rapport with people. You know, where do you work? How long have you been there? Oh my goodness, do you like it? What do you love about it? What do you hate about it? If you notice something about me, is I ask a lot of questions. How many of you guys have noticed, and how many of you guys have noticed I'm asking a question right now? And you'll see me nodding. I ask a lot of questions. And when I do presentations, one of the things that people will say when they come up to me is like, man, it's like you were talking right to me. I'm having a conversation with people. I don't believe in doing presentations. And so I'll ask a lot of questions. And the person asking the most amount of questions is the person controlling the conversation. It is not about talking and trying to be the smartest person in the room. It's about being genuinely interested in other people. And so when it comes down to helping them make a decision about getting started in your Emirates business, do we have a solution for people's problems? Yes or yes. Do we have a solution for people's health challenges? We don't make any medical claims, but let's say that for the sake of this conversation, are people able to see some results in our products? Yes. Do people want to see results on our products with whatever challenges they're going through from a health perspective? Yes. Do people want to increase their income? Yes. Do people want to have more time to travel, to spend time with their family? Yes. And so we have the solution for a lot of people's challenges. The difference is that we don't give them a chance to tell us what their challenges are. And so what you'll want to start doing is being that detective, asking questions. What you're going to do is identify their hot buttons. So when I'm talking to somebody, I will write down, if it's a brand new person or even if it's someone that I've known for a while, I'll write down certain things that they tell me. They'll tell me, man, they're letting people go at my job. They fired 2,000 people last month or whatever the case. I'll make a note of that. They'll tell me I've got a child. For example, there's a leader that we just launched, and one of the things that they're looking to do is they want to pay for the child's schooling. And I asked, how much is that going to take? How much money is that going to take? I want to know their motivators. Because remember, I said you're looking for people with desire, not necessarily people that have the money. But if you don't know what their desires are, how can you ever show them how they can make that happen in Emirates? You're just connecting the dots. You're a tour taker. You're just taking someone on a tour from where it is that they are to where it is that they want to go. Is this making sense, you guys? All right, I'm going to speed up here because I got a lot to go through here, and then there's so much more that I want to share with you guys. All right, so let me just take a look. All right, perfect. So most interesting man in the world. All right, the fourth item here was that you don't have to be the most interesting man or woman in the world to build a dynamic business. You have to be the most interested. All right. Fifth is to sort, don't convince. I talked about that a moment ago, so I'm going to keep moving. 6 is building your list. Okay, so some of you guys are talking about, I've talked to a lot of people. I've already run into people to talk to. Okay, so let me can I do some coaching with you guys around this? Can I really help you with this? What I have found is that a lot of people are talking a lot to the same people. They're not actually talking to a lot of people. I'm not saying that that's what you're doing, but I want to help you to push through whatever barrier might be holding you back. And if there's anyone here tonight that would like to know how to never run out of people to talk to for your business, I want you to just raise your hand real quick. I want to see who's plugged in. If this is going to help you guys, just raise your hand. or in Zoom, because I'm not seeing everyone's faces. So if I don't see you, you can raise the hand on Zoom so I can see it pop up. All right. So because I see how you guys are doing. Okay. So I don't see everyone's faces, but I want to see it in the chat. That'll be the easiest way for me to see it. Okay. Hand raised. Literally hand raised. All right. Cool. Awesome. All right. So here's what we're going to talk about. We're on item 6 when it comes to building your list. All right. Write this down. The money in this business is in your list. L-I-S-T. The money in this business is in your list. If you have not written down your list, which is the very first step on our Emrys blueprint, if you haven't written down your list, you don't have a business yet. I'm just going to call it what it is. You don't have a business yet. So remember I said that this is a numbers game. You have to sort, not convince. Well, if you don't actually have a list in place, there's nothing for you to sort through, right? And so one of the challenges that many people have is that they start prejudging people. They start saying, okay, this person would never do this business. And they'll never join me. Oh man, I could tell you story after story after story of people. I remember doing an event. I won't even tell my own story. I'll tell a story of someone else. So they're not here tonight, but I'm going to use them as an example. All right. So I remember doing an event. There's about 1,000 people in the room. At that point, I built a pretty sizable organization, and I was on tour, and I did this event. And I remember a leader coming up to me saying, "Oh my goodness, I'm talking to so many people." And then what you said tonight, what I'm teaching you guys some of the principles that I taught that night. You said, "Don't prejudge anybody." She said, "Did you know I was sitting in the audience, and I saw you recognize someone as a new top income earner? And I didn't even know they're in the company. I know this person. I was thinking of calling them right around the time that they were getting started." And I sat back and smiled, because that night I told the story of how early on in my career I prejudged a guy. I had 20 people on my list, and Robert was going to be person number 21. And Robert didn't get a phone call from Matthew Harris. And 6 months later, I show up to a presentation, and Robert is doing the presentation. You see, what I believe, friends, is that what you're looking for is also looking for you. And the moment that you start to think about someone else, when you start to think in terms of who do I know versus who's interested, your brain starts to answer that question. But if you start to say, "Oh, they would never do this," I could go after story after story after story after story after story of people that thought that someone that they talked to would never join the business in a million years, and that person became the rock star. We put these people on what's called our chicken list. This is a list of people that we're scared to talk to. I'm going to talk about how to handle that if I have time here in a second, all right? And so I don't want you to be prejudging anyone. Now, here's how you never run out of people to talk to. You start with your list. Now, the second thing that you're going to do as you're talking to people and taking through this process, I'm going to walk you guys through here right now, is to get referrals. I don't believe in the word no. All right. I don't believe in the word no. And so what I'll do is, let's say I'll call Ashley, and let's say Ashley will see the presentation, and I'm taking her through the exposure process. And while she says she's thinking about it, I'm going to say, "Hey, who do you know who's got some aches and pains? Who do you know who's interested in CBD? Who do you know who's an influencer? If you were to do this business, who would you share it with?" All right. I'm not going to wait for them to say yes. I want to get to know who they know, and I'll have them introduce me to those people. And then I'll start connecting. I'll start taking that person through the exposure process. What's so interesting is many times we'll get some of those referrals signed up, and right before I sign them up, I'll go back to the person who introduced me to them and say, "Hey, do you remember this person that you introduced me to? Hey, they're ready to get started. So I appreciate you introducing us, but I want to do business with you. So you can choose. I can sign them up and I'll get paid and I'll help them build a dynasty, or you could sign them up even though I did all the work and we could build a dynasty together. Which one do you prefer?" You see, I don't believe in the word no. Is that every dud knows a stud. Even if they don't join your business, they can lead you to somebody. And so you're just looking for people. All right? And so building their interest. Step number 7 is to pique interest. This comes down to what you're going to be saying to people. All right? This is coming down to what you're going to say to people. I have a very, very simple process that I go through when it comes to talking to people about the business and piquing their interest. What I'm focused on doing is I'm just looking if they have their antennas up. And some of you guys have seen me do the watch training. I don't have time to do that tonight. But the idea is to find someone who's actually interested in taking a look at the opportunity. Write this down. There's a difference between a suspect and a prospect. So on your list, if you have 100 names, you have 50 names, or you have 200 names, whatever the number is, those are people you suspect might be interested in the business. Many of us confuse a suspect with a prospect. We spend all of our time talking to suspects, people that are not qualified to be in business with you. And so here's what I'm going to ask you. How is your posture when you're talking to people? Or are you calling them from a place of weakness? Are you calling them from, oh, you know what, I'm trying this thing out. I don't know if you'd be interested. I don't know if this is good for you. Or are you calling them up and saying, my goodness, I've got my hands on something amazing. You need to see this. You see the difference? Because people are going to move by your energy and your conviction. And so the most important person you're ever going to recruit is not some big multimillionaire from another company, is not some big income earner or some proven influencer. Here's who the most important person you're ever going to recruit is. It's you. It's you. Your conviction, your belief about where you're going with this business and how big of an impact you're going to make with it. That conviction is going to move people. And that's going to flow into what you say to people. All right? And so when you call somebody up, there's 3 different parts of the conversation. You want to be brief, you want to show value, and you want to take it away. Be brief, show value, take it away. Be brief means those conversations last less than 2 minutes for me. I do not call the people to do a presentation over the phone and explain the business to people. I'm moving. I'm building a multi-million-dollar business. I don't have time to explain all the details right now. My goal is just to pique their interest. And so I'll call them up and say, listen, we're expanding our company right now, and I've been looking for some people that I can share this incredible concept with. I don't know if you're keeping your income options right now open or not. Is that something you are? Are you keeping your options open? Oh, absolutely. Depends on what it is. Okay, cool. Listen, let me get you some information. If you like it, we'll take it from there. I do not try to explain over the phone. What happens is many of us end up talking too much, so we end up having the Emrys vomit, where we're just vomiting on people all the information. Oh, let me explain the endocannabinoid system, and let me talk about, why the phytocannabinoids, the difference between endocannabinoids and all these different aspects, and let me explain the binary, and you're confusing people over the phone. It's kind of like giving someone a haircut over the phone. It's an interesting experience, but it doesn't necessarily get you the goal that you want to accomplish. And so I'll pique their interest. I'm just looking for someone who says, yeah, I'm interested. And the next thing that I'm going to do is move them to an exposure. All right. And so you want to look at your schedule. How many of these conversations are you having on a daily basis? Let's be honest. How many people did you talk to today? And when I say talk to, I don't mean did you explain Emrys to, but how many people did you identify as being a prospect in your business? All right. And that comes down to piquing their interest, finding out if they're keeping their options open to building a business. One of the things that I'll tell people is I'm saying, listen, I'm launching the biggest business career of my entire life. I've got a couple people that I'm sharing the concept with, and I thought of you. All right. And I'm not sure if this is for you, but I'd love to get you some information. If it's great, if it works for you, let's go from there. If not, it's not the end of the world. It's not a problem at all. So I take the pressure off, because remember, your goal is not to convince, your goal is to sort. All right. Step 7. All right. So I've got a couple more items that I'm going to go through here, guys. And then what I'll do is I'll hang around for some questions. If you want me to as well, I'll do whatever direction you guys want me to go. But there's something that transformed my business forever. And this is what I'm going to share with you guys. I'm sharing you all the concepts, but there was one in particular that made a big difference. Can you guys see my screen still? Ash, can you guys see it? Okay. All right. And so what I discovered was that I had made my business all about these 2 little words. Me. These not 2 little words. Sorry. 2 letters. All right. I'm getting excited here. 2 letters. And they're M and me. M-E. I made it all about me. And what ended up happening was when you're talking to friends and family, which is where you should start. You want to get, I'm going to teach you over your time with our company. Ashley's doing an incredible job. There's so many people talking about how to work with different types of markets, but you're going to talk to two different types of people you know and people you don't really know. That's really it. So I'm going to talk for this moment about people that you do know, and you can use the same principle with people that you don't know. But when you're talking to people that you do know, the good thing is they know you, but they also know you. They know that your past. All right, how many of us know that we made some decisions in life that maybe we would not like to be judged by, all right? And so the people that are closest to you, they know that. Your friends and family in particular, they're more than happy to remind you about failures in your past. And so when they're looking at the business, they're not judging Emrys as much as they're judging you or me, and based on our track record, all right? And so this is where many people stumble, is they try to convince people that, no, this is going to be different. This is a big deal. You need to join this company with me. I'm still making it about them. Here's what masters do. This is a concept I discovered that completely transformed the way that I build a business. It's not about me. It is not about me at all. In fact, I just got started. I'm still trying to figure this business out. Let me introduce you to someone who's having success. Why does this matter? Because the people that are closest to you, like I said a moment ago, they're judging it based on you. And so there's something that's working in your favor or against you based on how you use it. It's called the triangle of trust. All right, so let me explain how this works. Is that the people closest to you, so let me see if I can draw this at the top. Let's say this is you, all right? Over here at the top of this triangle, I don't know what it is about network marketing and triangles, but it'll work for now. And then this is your prospect, all right? So I'm gonna put P. Let me just draw this person. I think that'll be better for this illustration, okay? So this is your prospect. So everyone knows that this is your prospect, all right? So at this corner is your prospect, all right? Then on the other side of this triangle is going to be your expert. So I'm going to put an EXPERT over here. All right. Now here's what's interesting about the relationships that we have with people, is the people that are closest to us, they have what's called trust for us, or they trust us, all right? They trust you enough to hopefully they trust you. All right? Hopefully you've done a good enough job where there's some trust there. But that's why they're close to you. There's trust. They're familiar with you. They know you. They've been through stuff with you. There's trust there. All right? Now, on the other side, someone that they don't know, because they don't know them, there's something that's going to be in place called respect. For example, the first time you meet a stranger, all right, do you give them a big hug and a kiss on the cheek? Well, if you're Hispanic, yeah. but if you're not Hispanic, like my wife, then you're probably going to give them a handshake, all right? And so, like, for example, whenever I see Mike always comes up with a big hug, all right? Always. That's just one of the things that's awesome about Mike. And in fact, it threw me off the first time because I'd met him and I reached my hand out. He's here with a hug. So it kind of threw me off, right? But that's what's awesome about Mike. He's an incredible human being. But what happens most of the time when you meet someone who is not Mike is you'll stretch out the hand and you'll shake someone's hand, right? Because there's a distance there, all right? So you shaking the hand shows that there's a distance. Now, when you trust someone, like with a Mike, there's a big hug that's going to come in because there's a certain level of trust that's already in place. So what does that have to do with you and your business? Well, the people that you know, they trust you, but they do not respect you in Emrys. I'm going to say that again. They trust you, but they may not necessarily respect you in Emrys until you have the results, until you're at a certain level of success where now you don't have to explain anything. They see the way you're living. The results speak for themselves. They know it's real. So how do you get to the place where your people that are closest to you are going to respect you in the business and you can leverage the trust and respect they have? Here's what you do, is you connect them to an expert. Someone who's not you. Someone who's not you. Guys, this is how simple this is. When I figured this out, all I did was put people that I knew in front of other people. That's all I did. I just put them in front of other people. And what I did was I edified my expert. By the time my prospect got a chance to meet my expert, they thought my expert walked on water and glowed in the dark. I mean, I was just bragging about this person. And it doesn't have to be someone who is a vice president in Emrys. It could be someone who just got started other than you that you're working with. But when you make it about you, you're limiting the opportunity that your contacts will have of seeing how big this vision is, because your expert can say something to that prospect that maybe you would say, but because there's the respect built up, they'll listen to it differently than if it comes out of your mouth. Am I making sense tonight? And so, guys, if you're not leveraging your upline support, if you're not getting your upline leadership on calls with you, introducing them to people that have seen the business, you are limiting the opportunity for your prospects to actually see how big of a deal this could be in their life. You could be saying the same thing that your expert will say, but they'll hear it differently. It's funny. Eileen and I will get an argument. We'll get an argument, and she'll say, and she'll introduce me to someone, and they'll tell me something about Eileen and I are disagreeing about, and someone else will tell me, and then Eileen will say, "But I told you the same thing. Why weren't you listening?" I don't know if any of you guys are married, and if you're married with your other half, don't shake your head up and down. Just look straight ahead. But you guys know this is true. A lot of times when you're super close to someone, you don't hear what they're trying to say the same way than when someone else says it. And so when you have an expert, your job is to edify that expert. Remember, the person that you're introducing doesn't necessarily know your expert. So your job, when you get them on the phone, let's say Ashley's my expert, and I'm going to get her on the phone with my prospect, Eileen. When I've got Eileen has seen my website. I've invited her to the webinar tomorrow. After the webinar, I'll follow up and say, "Hey, what did you like best about what you just saw?" And she'll tell me whatever it is. And if she shows some interest in the business, I'll say, "Listen, I want to do something really special right now. I don't even know if I can make this work, but I'd love to introduce you to the woman that I'm working with. She is a rock star. She's crushing this business right now. She has a business in almost all 50 states. Her team is exploding. She's on the lips of her people. People around the world are talking about her. She's so busy, I don't even know if I can get a hold of her. But let me see if I can steal 2 minutes of her time. And if she can talk and share with you what this business has done for her." I just edified my expert. Why is that important? Because if you just get someone on the call, for example, with Ashley and say, "Hey, here's my buddy Ashley, we went to high school with her," and you want your expert, Ashley in this case, to be able to speak to your prospect for you, you have to elevate the stage that Ashley's on. You guys catch what I'm saying? It's called edification. If you ever go into a church, there's a reason the stage is elevated. If you go into any place, any stadium, you'll see there's an elevation, because when you're elevated, you're able to deliver a message to all the people. The same thing is true in this business. So the better you can get at elevating other people, telling other people's stories, and then connecting people to those stories. Guess what Ashley's job, your third-party expert is to now edify you. So Ashley's going to get on that call and say, "Oh my goodness, you're working, Matthew? Do you know what he's been able to do?" So when you talk about your success, you're bragging. But when someone else talks about it for you, that lifts you up. And now what happens is now your prospect has trust for you, but now they'll have respect for you as well. Well, this is good stuff. Listen, I could have charged you guys $1,000 tonight for this. This is good stuff, but this is coming to you free, all right? Absolutely free, because you're part of this incredible organization, and we want to pour into your future by teaching you secrets that many people have used to create massive amounts of wealth, but unfortunately are not quite taught the same way. Now, guys, I have several more principles that I want to share with you guys, but we just hit 10 o'clock. So here's what I need, because I want to take a bit of a pause, and I want to know, so far, all right, you guys can tell me. I can keep going. I've still got a couple more things that I believe will add value to your life that'll bring it together. But I want you to tell me if that's something you guys want me to do. So in the chat, if you want me to keep going, I'll probably take another 10, 15 minutes and we'll wrap it up. I'll keep going, but I need your permission to do that. So if you want to, I want you to say that yes, keep going. And I also want you guys to tell me one thing, one nugget that you got so far from this conversation that we just had. What's one thing that you've already caught? I want to make sure you're catching, because it's not what's taught, it's what's caught that really matters. So I want to make sure that the time we're investing here is actually making a difference for you guys. All right, so I'm going to take a look at the chat real quick. Ashley, you can jump in real quickly if there's anything you want to add while I'm looking at these really quickly, and then I'm going to finish up for us here in a second, all right?
I loved when you talked about looking for desire. Like, I wrote that huge at the top of my paper. Love, love, love that. That was probably one of my favorite things that you've talked about. The triangle of trust. I know Mike was like, I hope he talks about the triangle of trust. So you just did that. One thing I want you to definitely hit on, if it's not on the next couple of things, is the difference between inviting to recruit versus recruiting to invite.
Okay, I can definitely talk about that. Okay, I'm just checking out some of these notes here. Okay, so you guys are getting some stuff here. Okay, good. I always want to add as much value anytime I share anything, because I know there's one person. I remember, guys, like anytime I get a chance to talk about this business or to talk about what's possible, I remember what it felt like to be that person, just wondering, man, I need this. I need this so badly right now. And I'm going to write down whatever that guy is saying. If he has results, and I was just looking for just one thing that could get me to the next level, just one thing. And so I'm giving you a lot of different things, but if you can catch one thing tonight, I know it's going to make a difference. So let's talk about this concept of recruiting to invite versus inviting to recruit. All right. Let me just see here. I don't want to share this with you guys. I'm going to put it in with this. I have 3 more items, because so far we've got plan and prepare versus show the plan. All right. You guys got that. This is a numbers game. Recruiting is a process, not an event. All right. Be the most interested man or woman in the world. You don't have to be the most interesting man or woman in the world to build a massive organization. Sort, don't convince. Building your list. All right. How to get referrals. That's, guys, I'll tell you. And here's what's interesting about building your list. You have to build your story. All right. This is something that's not one of the bullet points. But I want you guys to start learning how to share your story about why you got started in Emrys. People will join you because of why you're doing something, not because of what you're doing. So if you come to me and say, all right, listen, I got started in Emrys because of their products are great quality, because the great compensation plan, because of all these things, that's great. Those are features. What people move towards is benefits. I'll tell you again, and let me give you an example. This phone right here, this iPhone, all right? I smashed it the other day, and I got a case. I have a case. Like, I literally have a case on my phone, but for 5 seconds, I took it off, and then I smashed it immediately. I was that guy who used to laugh at people for smashing their iPhones. I don't do that anymore. I smashed mine. I have insurance. I went and got a new one. Do you know that the iPhone is not the most technically advanced, and this pains me to say to you, for you Android people out there tonight, it is not the most technically advanced digital device on the planet today. It isn't. It really isn't. There's some Samsung devices and some other devices on Android with processing that will just blow your mind. If you're a tech nerd, you'll like this. It's insane. But people do not buy iPhones because of the quality of the picture. They don't buy because of the features. They don't buy because of certain things that many companies think is what drives buying behavior. They buy because of benefits. Because and I'm not bragging by saying this, but you feel different if you've ever used an iPhone. Why do people buy Louis Vuitton? All right, I have some Louis Vuitton stuff that I think if anyone works at Louis Vuitton, just take this with a grain of salt. I'm just being very honest. I don't think it's that very high quality. Now, there's other Louis Vuitton stuff that is really high quality, but some of the stuff that I have just didn't happen to be very high quality for whatever reason. And I'll buy stuff for Eileen. Then there's other stuff, but that's not why people necessarily buy a Louis Vuitton, a Gucci, or any of these other major brands, all right? It's not because of the features. It's because of the benefits. It's because of how they'll feel by having that product in their life. How many of you guys know this is true? Maybe there's a car that you want to drive. Okay, you convince yourself that you have to have the new Mercedes-Benz S550 because of how much horsepower it has and all this stuff. That's not why you're buying that car. You're buying it because when you come to the stoplight and there's some guy who's looking at you and you want to show them something, you want to let them know what time it is that you have you can really rev forward in a big way. Guys, people don't join people because of what they're doing. They join because of why they're doing it. And so you want to learn how to tell your story in a way that encompasses why you're doing this business. Where you were when you first found out about Emrys, what you wanted to change. And even though you're on the journey to that, even if you haven't made $1 million just yet, you don't have to have made $1 million for you to have a compelling story. You don't have to be in a position where you've already paid off all of your debt. You're in the process of that. And so just the fact that you can say, I'm so excited about my future because of this business. For the first time in a long time, I have hope again. Those are the kinds of things that connect with people a lot more than CO2 extraction. That's important, but not the same from your story, because facts tell, but stories sell. So what does that have to do with what Ashley wanted me to share with you guys here about inviting and actually using different concepts to build your business? Recruiting to invite versus inviting to recruit. Here's what happens with a lot of people. All right, I'm going to put this up on the screen for you guys here. All right, here's what a lot of people do is that they will do this. Oh, my screen still has all this stuff here. All right, here we go. Should be clear. Can you guys still see this? All right. So in my early days, this is what I would do. I would wait for this big diamond to come to my area. He'd come to Grand Rapids, and my father and I would drive from Berrien Springs, Michigan to go to this meeting with this big diamond. All right, and I won't say what company that was back then. And I'd go to this event thinking that the event was going to actually build my business. How many times have you guys heard that it's an event business? It is, but it's not what you do. It's not the event or what you do with the event. It's how you approach that event that will build your business. So I would go to the event and I would invite a bunch of people to go with me. All right. And whether people showed up or didn't show up, this is not the point of the conversation right here. But then what would happen is that everyone, myself included, will wait till the next month until that big diamond came back to do that event in Grand Rapids, where I would go out and would drive up again. Or maybe we didn't feel like driving through the snow, so we wouldn't even go at all. So my business was based on whether this other person who didn't even know that I existed would show up to an event that I had to drive an hour and a half to. And so I figured something out. So this is too slow. I can't keep waiting for that big event to grow my business. And so I got around some people that knew what they were doing, and they taught me the concept and the difference between inviting to recruit versus recruiting to invite. All right. This is what we're going to talk about real quick, and I'm going to use this at the last. There's a couple more concepts that I could share with you guys, but we'll save that for another time. All right. So inviting to recruit versus recruiting to invite. Here's what inviting to recruit looks like: is that you have an event. Ashley, when's your guys' next event that you guys have coming up?
Tomorrow.
Okay, tomorrow. Okay, so and when's the next one after that?
Following Tuesday, every Tuesday.
Okay, every Tuesday. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is Tuesday over here, all right? And so let's just say that makes today Monday, all right? So you guys should be definitely inviting as many people as possible to this event, all right? And then there's going to be another Tuesday event afterwards. All right, so here's what the difference is. And this is where a lot of amateurs get caught up, all right? Is that they think the only way they can grow their business, and this is good. I would label inviting to recruit as good. But what's great is what I'm going to teach you guys how to do right here. So good is taking Monday evening, and I'm going to invite people to this presentation. So I'm going to take my list, and let's say you've got 10 people on that list that you're going to invite. All right. So 10 people, and let's say out of 10 people, 5 confirm that they're going to be there. Out of 5 people, 1 has got to go cut their grass. Another one's kid got sick. Someone else found out that the voice was on and they really wanted to see that. So now you've got 1 person maybe that shows up with you. All right. So let's say, so 10 came down to being 1 person. All right. Now, that's good. You got a guest there. All right. But let me show you how to explode your business. All right. So what you want to do is, instead of just using the event to recruit your people, is you want to recruit people so that they can invite people to the event with you. This is a completely different way of thinking, but it will transform your business. So let's say now that you invite 10 people, that you've got 10 people that you can invite. Don't just tell them, hey, there's going to be a presentation tomorrow. Have them say, listen, what I just walked you through, I'm getting ready to launch my business in a massive way. I want you to take a look at this and be a part of where it is that we're going. And then you take them through that exposure process. Remember, maybe they go to your website. Maybe they get on the Zoom presentation. They have some exposures before they go to the event. So now when they come to the event, they're coming for confirmation, not information. You can always tell when someone is excited to be there, and the energy in a room is completely different when the group of people that are there that are guests already know why they're there. You can also tell when people have been dragged there. All right. Maybe someone told them, hey, there's going to be a big party. Come out to this party. And then if suddenly someone pulls out a whiteboard and they're like, wait a second, this isn't the kind of party that I signed up for. All right. That's not how you want to build a business. You want to have prospects in the room with you, but you also want to have people inviting with you. So let's go back to the scenario. Let's say that it is Sunday. All right. And there's an event happening Tuesday. So what we'll do is, instead of directly inviting these 10 people to come to Tuesday, is we will recruit to invite. So we'll have them get on a Zoom presentation webinar. We'll have them go see discoveremirates.com, for example. We'll have them get on a presentation, a Zoom presentation that's happening, or have them see a video presentation or whatever, right? Any of the tools that we already have in place. Then you follow up with those 10 people, all right? Out of 10, let's say, and this is how the numbers can play out. By the way, out of 10 people, if you are enrolling 2 people out of 10 who see the presentation, you can get rich in this business. If you play baseball, I was making jokes about cricket a moment ago, but in baseball, if you average, was it 0.3? You could be a Hall of Famer at that point. You know, hitting 3 out of 10, you could actually be a Hall of Famer. You get paid millions of dollars. All right. In this business, your numbers could reflect this. When I talk to people about the business, when Aspen talks to people about the business, when Eileen talks to people about the business, when Ashley might talk to people about the business, not every single person joins us. It's shocking. I know. It is crazy. Like, absolutely amazing. Doesn't matter how much money you've made, doesn't matter what car you drive, doesn't matter if you live on the, it doesn't matter. Not everyone's going to join. And so when you're getting started in the business, that's one of the hardest things to get over. Many people think, well, when I have the nice Mercedes, when I have the nice bank account, when I have the nice watches, that's when everyone's going to join me. I'm telling you, it's still the same process. The difference is that who's willing to go through the numbers faster. So if I get 5 out of 10, let's say that I talk to 10 people, all right, and you get 2 out of 10. Let's just say that I happen to be a super genius at this business, and I talk to 5 out of 10. And whenever you talk to 10 people, so what I mean when I say 5 out of 10, 10 people you show the presentation to, 5 join. Let's say that you show 10 people and you get 2. So every 10 people that show the presentation to, you get 2. Every 10 people I show the presentation to, I get 5. All right. Here's what happens. You can still beat me, because let's say all I do is go off there and talk to 10 people. All right. And let's say that you go out there and you talk to 50 people. You guys see the numbers? How many did you just get started? You just got 10. We just right on par with each other. But let's say you went off and talked to 100 people. You just beat me. All right. So you don't have to be getting every single person to join you in order for you to build a movement in this business. You make up in numbers what you might lack in skill. You make up in numbers what you might lack in skill. And that's why exposing people every single day is so critical. So as you're going through these numbers, as you are inviting people to recruit, that's good. But what you want to do is start recruiting people to invite. So you recruit people. Let's say you talk to 10 people, you get 2. All right. So within 24 hours, come Monday, you've got 2 people that have already joined the business. And you with them, help them also talk to 10 people within their first 24 hours. So how many people is this? Now that's 20 people. You're still talking to another 10. All right. So let's say you get one more person to get started. Let's say that these people each get 2. All right. So now Monday comes around. That's 2, 4, 5, plus the 2. Now all of you guys, this whole network invites for Tuesday. You could start with 2 people and have 50 people show up on Tuesday. I'm just giving you an example. I have seen this happen over and over and over and over and over and over again, with just a simple slight edge change in the philosophy. And we're going to have our Emirates Live event at a golf course, and at some point I'm going to learn how to play golf. I promise you it's going to happen. But I need to take the time, because with my kind of personality, I can tell with my frustration. I tried it. I took a lesson like for 3 hours, and I struggled to get that ball to go any direction that I wanted to go. I don't know if any of you guys play golf. I saw Steph is on here. I know there's a lot of people in Nebraska play golf. So laugh at me all you want, or maybe you're crying with me because you know what I'm talking about. But there's a concept in golf that my golf instructor was trying to teach me, because I kept hitting the ball like it would just skew off to this direction. He said, you've got most of the mechanics right. The challenge you have is that you have the head of your golf club is that just a little bit off on the angle. Just change it a little bit, hold it a little bit tighter so you can slightly adjust the angle of your club and watch what will happen. Guys, many of you are so close to a breakthrough. Many of you are so close to everything changing in your life. And it's not going to be some massive big aha many times. It's going to be a slight adjustment in the way that you're building your business. And when you take a slight adjustment to this business, some tremendous things can happen. So, guys, I didn't get through my list, but for the sake of time, I wanted to make sure that we kept this within a certain time frame as well. I'm just so proud of every single one of you. I'm so excited that you took the time to be here, to invest in yourself, to grow your skill set, and to make sure that you apply this. Now, I want to see one thing as we close out here. I'll pass it back to you, Ashley. I've gone through this list of things. There's a couple more that I could add to this, but I think we've got enough for you guys to be able to go off there and really see some activity this week. But I want to see one thing that you caught. If you didn't already share it, I'd love to see it in the chat. And then Ashley, why don't you go ahead and open it up for however close you guys want to do. And I'll hang out for as long as you guys need me to be here as well, all right?
Yeah, thank you so much, you guys. As you're telling him one more thing that you took away from this, please just show him some love and tell him thank you. He is corporate, which means he's building and pushing this business forward, you guys, and he took time out to be with us tonight. So thank you so much, Matthew. I think I have like 7 pages of notes. So that was incredible. One thing I really want you guys to take away from this is pick one thing that you're going to take action on tomorrow, okay? What is one thing that you're going to take away from this? And it's probably what you threw in the chat earlier or what you're throwing in the chat right now. But sometimes when we hear so much information and we take 7 pages of notes and we try to go implement it all, guess what happens? None of it actually gets implemented, right? So pick one thing that you're going to take massive action on tomorrow. We are getting ready. Matthew talked. This entire thing was about recruiting, right? We are getting ready to do 3 Zoom presentations every single day starting tomorrow. If you just take one thing that you learned tonight and put massive action towards that one thing, you guys, your business is going to explode with the tools that corporate has for us this week, with getting people on those Zooms, using the exposure, like every single thing that he talked about tonight. Taking this next week of moving those people through the next step and the next step. I know we've got tons of presentations going on in Nebraska. We've got some here in Michigan. We've got them all over the United States, you guys. So even if you're not here in Michigan or Nebraska, there's stuff for you guys to plug into, okay? So, was there anything else? Matthew said he'd hang out for a few more minutes. I'm going to stop the recording, but if you guys need to hop off, go for it. I think we're probably pretty much done, you guys. It's 10:15. I'm so proud of all of you guys that have hung on and stayed on this long. It's been incredible.